Welcome to the Magento Pulse on Talk Commerce. I'm your host, Brent Peterson. In this special series of episodes, we bring you stories of the people from the Magento community, as well as the fantastic Magento events like Meet Magento New York, happening October 10th, 2024. For more information, go to meetmagentonyc.com. Today's episode is proudly sponsored by Content in Commerce from contentbasis.io. Discover how your content can build free traffic for your e-commerce store by visiting contentbasis.io. Stay tuned as we dive into the latest in the world of Magento. For more information about Meet Magentos, click on the QR code in the video or go to tlk.fm/mm24nyc. Thank you. Welcome to this Portland Weird episode of Talk Commerce, sponsored by the Magento Association, or supported by the Magento Association, or we're supporting them, or something like that. Anyways, today I have Noah Oken-Berg. Oken-Berg, no relationship to the guy from Better Call Saul. He's an Oken, isn't he, or something like that? Anyways,
Saul Goodman. I really appreciate the likeness, though.
You look just like him.
Yeah.
So Noah is the co-founder of Above the Fray, or ATF, not alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, but Above the Fray. And he does wear at events, though, you should walk around with a jacket that says ATF on the back, just a regular blue windbreaker. I think would be awesome. And last year put on Meet Magento New York. So today we're going to talk a little bit about Above the Fray and the agency, and we're going to talk about Meet Magento and then the Magento Association. So Noah, take it over. Go ahead, do an introduction for yourself, much more concise than I just did, and maybe one of your passions.
Anybody that knows me. The one thing I'm usually not as concise. I like to elaborate, but I'll do my best. So Noah Oken-Berg. I've actually been in the Magento ecosystem, the e-commerce ecosystem, about twice as long as since I have co-founded our own agency, Above the Fray. So Aaron Hunt and I worked together at another local agency here in Portland. We were two of the first 3 employees there. 14 years ago or so. I lose track, but it was definitely the Magento 1 days. I wasn't the first. There's definitely folks that have been on the cutting room floor, much earlier than us, but definitely some stripes from that. So we have decided to, we wanted to be slightly masochistic people and start our own agency, I guess. And we did so about 7 years ago. And so we are platform agnostic. A large part of our business is with Adobe Commerce and Magento. And, from the very beginning, even, from the beginning of engaging with this community, I've seen the value of supporting it and finding different ways to work with it, to enhance it, to connect the dots, and to learn from it, especially. And so I think that's served me well over the years, and even more so, over the last couple of years, as I've gotten even deeper into where a big heart of it is in the international, European especially, community.
And passions in life?
Passions in life. It might sound odd, but I really do enjoy this whole running a company thing. I love the people I work with. I love the clients we work with, the partners. I'll say with the asterisks on most days for all of those, right? But, it is the spice of life. I've always been the type of person that likes to connect people, to build cool things and great things, and make something where the outcome is greater than the sum of the parts. And this is one way of doing that in a major way. Other than that, bodies of water. I love to be on a body of water, preferably in a non-motorized vehicle, whether that's, rafting down some class 4s and 5s, or just floating in an inflatable kayak down some lazy rivers, or even the lazy river in a donut at the MGM down in Vegas. That's all right too.
That's awesome. So, Noah, before we get started, you have graciously volunteered to be part of the free joke project, and I have an unbelievable joke for you today. Just give me a rating 1 through 5. So, here we go. Which letter keeps pirates calm? P. Without it, they are irate.
All right. Well, let's see. It's funny. My son actually has been doing the exact same thing where he's been giving me jokes and telling me to rate it on a scale of 1 to 5. And if I don't give him a 5, he's super offended. And I'm like, well, you got to have something to work towards. But that's Brent. I know your jokes, and they're all in the ranges. I mean, 3.5 is probably the lowest they go, and I would probably give this one a 4.2.
Well, 4.2. All right, I got one
Yeah.
more for you then.
All right.
My friend asked me if I was getting Oasis tickets. I said, maybe.
Yeah. Can you sing that for me? Because I'd put that from like a 4.2 to like a 4.9 if you sung that for me.
If I sung it, you're going to give me a 2.
Yeah. It doesn't go that
That's
way.
how great
Come
my
on.
voice is.
I mean, with that hair, it's got to be
Yeah,
incredible.
thank you. Yeah, nobody's noticed the hair yet. All right, so let's jump in. Let's talk a little bit about Meet Magento New York. And I've been interviewing. I've interviewed Ravi this week and Vlad from Romania. So you organized Meet Magento New York last year. To give us some background and why you did it and how it went. And I mean, I guess I know how it went. I was there. It was fantastic. But tell
Yeah.
us uh, tell us a little bit about that.
It was great. I've done events throughout my career. I used to DJ for a living, quote unquote living, and throw parties and also do some stuff for nonprofits and things like that. So it's always been a passion of mine. And so when the opportunity arose, it was something that was instantly attractive and kind of made a few details work with it, and dove in head first. Yeah, I mean, I could probably put it as one of the more important things that I've done in my career on a number of levels. It's definitely a labor of love to do this. I can tell you from all the folks that I know that have put on different Meet Magento events, and I became part of this like sort of global fraternity, of producers, event producers for Meet Magento. And it's it's not something you do because you want to go out there and make a bunch of money. It's not something you want to do because you want to go get a bunch of leads, or anything that's sort of like, for that type of prosperity necessarily. I'm sure some folks have been able to capitalize well on that, but it's not the motivation. You got to be doing it, like I said, from a place of really love for the community and understanding the importance of what it means to bring people together. And I would say like-minded, but actually there are definitely commonalities. But I think the beauty of it is you get such a diverse range of opinions, and if you know this crowd, nobody that's really afraid of giving their opinions either. So getting that all in one place, and in the what some people call the capital of the world in New York City, right in the heart of downtown, off Broadway, theater district. It was an incredible experience. One that took me about a week of rest to recover from, but one I wouldn't change for the world.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you had your, I know that you had your team there. That I mean, coming from Portland, or I would imagine your team is a lot of remote, but getting all those people there it can be expensive and it can be time consuming, and it does sometimes take your eye off the shiny ball, or it is a shiny object. It kind of takes your eye off the ball. But anyways, how did that affect your mental state, and then that you mentioned some time to recovery?
I mean, I think it was different for every single person on my team, and if we were going to do it again, we'd need to carve out a distinct team that was dedicated to doing that, and not pull people in that had day jobs at Above the Fray. They were all gracious and did a fantastic job, but it was asking a lot out of them. It's one thing to ask that out of myself, who I can make that decision, but people that signed up and nothing remotely related in their job descriptions, that were rolling up their sleeves and making this global event with people from 30 different countries, all get together for the first 2-day event. It had only been 1 day, I think, for the 8 years preceding. Was definitely a Herculean event, or a Herculean effort. Yeah, I mean, we do have a team all over the U.S., actually all over the world. We have a brick and mortar office in the Philippines. We have remote engineers in several other countries. And Portland's our headquarters, but, probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 or 8 different states. So I would say that if I, when I hang up my hat from doing this whole e-commerce thing, business development on those things, I think I want to be an event planner or a travel planner. I really, it's weird. My whole team knows this. I used to have our EA was doing that, and I pulled those responsibilities back to me because I actually love that coordination. And, it's like this, I don't know, 4-dimensional game of, a puzzle that you got to put all the pieces together. And so, yeah, so we did a good job. We all arrived on site. We were ready to go. Got there a little early. Some of us stayed a little bit late. Definitely worked hard and played hard. There's some, really great parties, great content during the day, and great events during the night. And it wasn't just about the events themselves. It was just, I remember, just having a pack of all of us from the event, just kind of roaming the streets of downtown Manhattan and across New York, I don't know, 20, 30, 50, 100 people deep at times, just taking on different bars and restaurants, or just hanging out on a corner and yucking it up.
Yeah, that's awesome. So give us some reasons why somebody should sign up for a Meet Magento event.
As an attendee?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I would attendee, absolutely. But, look for other ways to get involved. There's speaker slots are open. Meet Magento events are famous for bringing new folks into the fold, giving opportunities for people to get on stage to speak their piece. There's volunteer opportunities. There's sponsorship opportunities. There's ways to contribute to, helping promote them. But as far as from a pure just attendance, which is obviously just as important, this is, we all saw what happened when the world shut down, and we're sitting here over a screen and doing a virtual meeting, and that's great. I love it. We're able to connect in different parts of the planet. But there's nothing like those in-person events. There's nothing like, and everybody knows this. It's cliche by now, but it impresses upon you every time you do it. Does it suck to have to, sometimes get up at, before the crack of dawn to get on a flight and fly across the country or across the globe, leave your family for a couple days or a week or so to do it? Yeah, absolutely. Nobody likes that. Well, I guess some people leave their family, but for a lot of us, that's a painful part. But then you get there, and you have this other family, you have this other community that's there. There's people new faces that you meet. There's new things that you learn about technologies and just personal insights that pop up. I think the content is delivered by people who take pride in bringing real topics, real insight, real conversation to the table, and not just sitting up there and spitting an advertisement for 30 minutes for their company, which a lot of events end up doing. And again, the partnerships that can come out of it, the relationships that can come out of it. I went to a community event in Germany and had no idea that I was going to be meeting our next engineering manager, who's Romanian and lives in Italy, and just happened to, meet her, sort of off to the side of the dance floor at the evening event with my then director of engineering. And those are the kind of things that can happen, at these events that just can't happen otherwise. You can network and you can do the stuff online and LinkedIn, and that's important. But, there's just nothing like the camaraderie and the partnership that's built from, being in the trenches and also the celebrations with folks from all over the planet that are doing similar things.
Yeah, I think traditionally it's been more difficult to entice merchants to join the event. What kind of advice would you give to a merchant who is on the fence and thinking about signing up?
Yeah, and I guess putting myself, I have a lot of colleagues, and there's obviously a lot of movement in our industry, in our space, where we have folks that may work at a platform, and then they go to work at a merchant, and then they're working at an agency. And so, there's oftentimes people that have that perspective because they've seen it from different angles. But there's also folks that have only been at one of those things and maybe only just worked as a relevant stakeholder at a merchant. And I guess their apprehension, maybe because they feel like they don't want to be sold or pitched on things, or maybe it's not relevant to them or things like that. But the fact of the matter is like this, the very nature of what a Meet Magento event is a global community of people that are there to support each other and grow ultimately what these merchants are doing, and really beyond the merchant, what their end buyers are doing, what the consumers, that's really, we're all working together for that person that's hitting the buy button or engaging with the portal or, doing, whatever it is that's on, this e-commerce platform. And so we're all in it together, really. I mean, sure, they're going to decide which partners and which SIs to work with and which make the most sense. Some are going to be completely in-house. But whatever it is, you're going to be stronger at your job. You're going to be better at your job. You're going to be more effective at your job. You're going to be more of a hero at your company for what you do. And you're going to meet the people that will help you do that. And lo and behold, we're not just a bunch of, commission breath salespeople. There's a couple of them out there, but, most of us are really interested in finding ways to, we're interested. I think that's the most important word. We're not there to be interesting. I had somebody tell me that once, like, be interested, not interesting. And it's truly a group that's interested in learning from each other and figuring out ways ultimately to make it all better. So yeah, there's really
I met a merchant.
no reason not to.
I met a merchant at last year who had come the year before and learned about Hoofa and was able to get that whole theme installed and deployed, and their site went up 10 times in speed, and they accredit it to coming to a Meet Magento event and learning more about what's happening and how Magento continues to grow. And that was that was just a huge payoff for them.
We had a very similar experience. So we're, that's another thing too for other like agencies and solutions integrators. If you're feeling apprehensive about bringing your merchants to these events, the people that are signed up with you, that you're under contract or retainer, or just even starting out, I mean, don't be, you're a great SI. They're going to recognize if there's vultures out there, and they're going to laugh at them and shoo them away, and there really aren't many, if any, that would show up to these Meet Magento events, and so bring your merchants. Like sometimes it takes us to help show them that. And we had one of our cherished clients that we had just gotten started with that we brought to Meet Magento New York, and we hosted a dinner. We had some representatives from Hoofa at the dinner. We had some representatives from Adobe Commerce at the dinner, and they actually we had recommended Hoofa, but they hadn't actually approved it yet, and that helped really kind of build that familiarity and comfort to move forward with it. And so that's another reason to bring your merchants, if you're a solutions integrator, is because you get to introduce them to all the different solutions and technology partners that you need to help build their success. And like it helps, we don't have to like do as much work like selling these things. It's just you see what it looks like in the flesh, with all of us working together. You see that there's human partners that make this happen, which is half the battle beyond the technology.
Yeah, that's great. Let's change directions a little bit and talk about the Magento Association, which is we're both on the membership committee, and the Magento Association is responsible for promoting and organizing, or helping to not organize, but helping to get event coordinators or event people for these events. Tell us a little bit about your experience with Magento Association.
I think I'm not as much of an OG as you are there, and a lot of other folks, but I've been working with the Magento Association for a few years now, a few years, somewhere around there. I'm a member. I've been on associate boards and other committees on various different organizations. And I think, like when you asked me first about, why attend, and I was like, hey, consider taking it further, becoming involved. I personally believe that anything that is worth involving yourself with is worth also helping to make better and to steer and to contribute some of your own bandwidth towards. Obviously, you can't do that with everything in life, but choosing a few that are very relevant to the worlds that we live in and the type of work that we do has been critical for me personally. I work with the Association of Equipment Manufacturers. I'm on a couple board level committees there, and task forces, some local alternative chamber of commerce here in Portland. But being that e-commerce is core to our business, and that Magento is core to e-commerce, it was kind of a no-brainer to get involved and to find an opportunity to do so. So that was the initial motivation, I would say, for that. And then, that's evolved over the years. Part of being part of a big part of being a part of an organization or a committee or anything is being critical of it, not in a bad way, or in a destructive way, but in a very constructive way. If you want to make something better, you got to figure out what isn't working. You can't make things better that are perfect. And hey, so I think that's a great part of it too. And you and I have done some, continue to work to see the evolution of the Magento Association, to see how it's grown, how it's addressed some of the criticisms and some not as constructive criticisms over the past, but to sort of morph those into a constructive fashion inside the belly of the beast, because it is a very powerful and important group. It serves a unique role in our community, and especially in sort of the evolution, the changing face after Adobe's acquisition, and even before that, you and I have seen Magento bounce around from being privately held to eBay, PayPal, divested, private equity, back to privately held, then Adobe. It's gone through so many shapes and forms, but there's sort of a current that holds it together. That is the community, and there are other voices in the community. There's also other great community organizations that are kind of sister associations of the Magento Association, but the Magento Association is the Magento Association. And so, it becomes that common thread throughout all of it, an advocate for that community. And back to the events, it's not a small thing. You and I were talking about this on our committee meeting the other day, but, to be the governing board that sanctions and started off the Magento events and sanctions them globally at a large scale. Of course, it's individual producers that actually put in the vast majority of the legwork, the blood, sweat, and tears to actually make those events happen. But it takes that governing board to actually legitimize it, to sanction it, to create it in the first place, and to keep that going. And that's huge. If that was the only thing the Magento Association did, I would say that would be more than worth being involved with it. But the good news is it's just a fraction of what the Magento Association does.
Yeah, I would, and you mentioned in the very beginning a little bit, some people are critical about it, and we should be critical, and having constructive criticism, I think, is the most important part. The only way that anybody can be part of the solution is to join the membership, join Magento Association as a member. Otherwise, you're just sitting on the sidelines complaining. And I'll be honest, it has come a long ways since Mateus took over. It is like night and day, I think, in terms of how the engagement is in the community. Seems like he's at every single event. Just talk a little bit about joining and the kind of feedback you can give, all those, maybe the privileges you get as a member.
Sure. Yeah, Mateus has been transformational for sure, as is his staff of one. Jorg has been amazing too. Great host, by the way. Had an awesome time. But over there. But yeah, I think the ongoing sort of calibration and having the people that are in the leadership position, obviously it's, is critical. Having that drive, that passion, and the ability to sort of not, just speak your mind. And I think, to be able to not shy away from the hard conversations, not be defensive, but also make sure you set the record straight, because a lot of the kind of side busting that you're talking about, from, people just sort of like, shouting from the sidelines, that, get in the game. It's like, I just don't, I won't say I disrespect people that do this, but there's a lot less respect for people that just like to complain. It's like, if it's that bad, either do something to make it better or just go away. Like that's, go do something else. Like if it's that terrible, or if you care about it enough that you keep talking about it, there's room for that, to come in and make it better. That's what we want. It's a group of people that, have a diverse group of people with diverse set of opinions, and we don't always agree. In fact, a lot of times we don't. But one thing that we do have is, like we got our eyes on the prize. We know where we're headed and what we want to do. And so, you got to be a part of it to make a change. And I've really enjoyed seeing the membership grow. There's some new, what we've done with the new tiers, the new approaches. One of the reasons I hopped on board, as I will say, only to promote to other people, not to promote myself, the first platinum member of the Magento Association. But, I really want, you got to put your money where your mouth is. Individual memberships don't even really cost that much money. It's nominal. It's, for less than a cup of coffee a day, you could be a member. I think it's actually much less than that. But, it's more than just, the dues, which are, relatively little. I've been in a lot of associations that it's way more, but it's the opportunity to hop into a committee. And, if you want to be a part of committee, maybe I'm busy as heck. I worked a 20-hour day yesterday, but, this is a priority for me, and because it's something that we spend our time in, and it affects our lives. It affects our colleagues, our employees, our partners, our clients, and so it's not, I don't really look at it as a volunteer thing. I look at it as almost, I don't want to say duty, but I look at it as an investment, really in the product that we're all here delivering.
Yeah, I wonder if MA tote bags would be the way that we're going to get more membership.
Yeah, I mean, swag is always a good way to go about it. Maybe MA branded Rockstar headpieces.
Noah, we have a few minutes left. I want to give you a chance to kind of talk about ATF and what you're doing, and all the different things you're doing for the Magento, in the Magento world and Adobe Commerce world. So, let's kind of close out with ATF and the work you're doing, and let's focus on the Magento space.
Sure. Yeah. So, as I mentioned earlier, one of the things that I've really enjoyed, especially since this last, since we put on Meet Magento New York, but really historically, has been engaging with the global community, and not just in some altruistic, peace, love, and hair grease, world harmony thing, which is a big part of it, but in a very business sense. When you have personnel shifts and changes in staff and key roles, the ability to have folks that want to come work at your organization because of what you've done, or sort of, the time you put in, that they could see that you actually give a shit about, this community, and the work that you've produced, is probably the biggest badge of honor that I've had, as a business owner. Some of the most incredible talent, that I get to work with, that, hops on board, to help out, either sometimes as like a part-time permanent contractor, or sometimes as full-time employees, sometimes, as a bridge between things. But just, that has been more over the last year prevalent than I've ever seen it. Our team is built, we were founded by somebody I worked with at one Magento agency, and then somebody else I worked with at another Magento agency, and then we pulled consistently from all over the global Magento world to find our team and to find our sort of way in this in our identity. And so, in relation to the Magento community, that's been a focus of mine over this last 7 years that we've been around, but especially over this last year, to get more engaged in that global community. As far as the work we do, like I said, we are platform agnostic. The majority is still in the Magento Adobe Commerce world. I really enjoy the folks that are that traverse that, the folks at Adobe Commerce that are supporting the Magento world and the open source world. There's still a strong core contingency there that I get to engage with on a regular basis over at Adobe that supports the Magento world, that is there for the clients and the end results and what we're doing. And, more and more partners. I mean, you mentioned Huva earlier, but, strengthening partnerships with, I mentioned Ravi as well, Headworks, other folks like Amnesty. We love to put on webinars with these partners to showcase shared work that we've done together. Not just to say, hey, here's another webinar. Everybody's seen 1,000 webinars a day, but like, here's some really relevant content. Here's all the different people that built something for this person, or all the different companies that built something for this company to be able to be much better. Let's talk about what we've done together. So, hey, sure, if you want to come work with us, great, but at least we are going to inspire somebody else to see what they can do. And so, that's a big reason why, we've also built out a digital marketing team. It's small but mighty, but it's there to support both internal efforts, not just our clients' efforts, but, to actually help do a lot of that partner engagement that otherwise, like myself alone, wouldn't have bandwidth to do. So we're able to, engage to do some of those pieces. Not everybody's like you that can do like 1,000,000,001 things at once, Brent. So, some of us have to actually hire out for some of these things.
Yeah, that's all relative. And we all think everybody else is doing so much more. And really, I just sit around and put jokes on Facebook all day and then watch TV.
That's doing the most, though. That really is. It really is. But yeah, the other part about, above the fray and really just sort of on the business side or the growth side is, it's an interesting time. I think, we've had a lot of interesting discussions about, in our industry. I used to run a group called Rising Tide of fellow agency owners and leaders that we get together and kind of compare notes, scars, war stories, whatever you want to call it. But, really with sort of all the fluctuations in the economy and, how people are doing business and apprehension and excitement and, the ebbs and flows of all of that. I think it's even more important than ever that, we've had other people that you'd consider competitors that, we're partnering with to help, with certain situations, to help strengthen our businesses, to help find new ways to grow our businesses, to provide, service to more folks. I found, and this is one thing that I think is one of the most important things. The biggest competition is not another SI, another agency. By far, if I go through my CRM and I look at everything that's closed lost over the last few years, it's probably the vast majority is just inaction. It's merchants that have decided to do nothing. Or continue sort of along a status quo. And that's with talking to several of us. And so I'd like to think it's not just, a bad job of us showing the way, but, it's us needing to put our heads together to figure out better ways to show that way. And that doesn't just happen with us backbiting and being competitive. And competitive is great, but, but collaborative, the coopetition, and solving how to get past a lot of this inaction. We know what we can do, right, for the merchants, and we know what we can bring to the table. We got to find better ways of showing them that, because the service that we provide is highly valuable. It's highly valuable to their business, to their careers, to their lives, and to the lives of everybody else at their businesses, and that their business does business for. So, that when it comes to duty, that kind of is our duty. That is what we provide as solutions integrators, is being able to show how integrating these solutions can do that. So, I think I want to look into 2025 with a renewed focus on how we can collectively do that to kind of really raise that tide and to get people out of that inertia, to get merchants out of that inertia that they're in, whether it's because of apprehension for elections or economies or global pandemics. I mean, there's, those are all big things, obviously, but there's always going to be big things. We can be a driving force for, business growth and stability and efficiency. And so we got to put our heads together, do it better.
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there, especially around how the Magento community is, I feel, unique in the sense that all of the other agencies do talk to each other, and we don't necessarily have a confrontational relationship. And I will say, in 2021, when I still was at Magento, up until 23 when I left, you and I don't feel like our relationship has changed a lot. I feel like we're still friends, and we still collaborate, and we still talk about things that are happening in the industry. And maybe we can be more open about clients and things like that. But as a core relationship and as a core friendship, I see all the different agency heads and owners and employees as being friends, and that community is unique in Magento in the sense that we all come together with a common goal, as you said. And one of those, I agree with, one of those common goals is definitely getting clients to move and do something rather than just sit on it, right? There's still people on Magento 1, but I think you really brought up a great point, and kind of that core thing that is what the Magento community represents.
Yeah. I would even go further than saying that, not only has our relationship not changed, but it's been you and other leaders in the space that have helped folks like me that, to be, have a modicum of success with my company. It's the willingness to, not like be the crabs in the barrel mentality, but instead like a hand, showing the way and providing insight and support. And, it doesn't always mean that it's like, hey, come here, I'm going to do everything for you. In fact, that would be terrible. And that's not usually the case, but it's not like that, holding somebody's head under the water when they're trying to, swim upstream. So, it's definitely a more of like, hey, have you tried, getting in a raft and paddling this way, like instead of trying to swim, in this current. Oh yeah, thanks. Like that kind of stuff makes all the difference. Sometimes it's just like a sentence or two, like that can change the game for somebody. And in turn, that's why, the importance of doing that for each other is all the more critical. I do remember when it wasn't always like that too, and I think that I have seen it change. There are definitely some, over a decade and a half ago, I feel like there was a lot more contention. There was, there was some flashpoints and rivalries and things like that. And I'm not going to say it's completely all kumbaya across the industry. There's definitely still some of that happens, but by and large, you're absolutely right. This I've always said, that's what I love about Portland, Oregon, because, we've got, they call us like the Silicon Forest here. And like we have a great thriving design and, technology scene and agency scene in a lot of different ways. And it's very unique here in Portland where, that really is the way. Like it's definitely helping hands everywhere. It's rising tides everywhere. And I feel like, especially as you get engaged in the US, but also globally, that's what this Magento community is about.
Yeah, that's perfect. Noah Oken-Berg, it's been such a pleasure, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Brent, for having me on. Appreciate you.
Noah Oken-Berg is the co-founder of Above the Fray, and I would encourage you to visit him at abovethefray.com.
.io, actually.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, I'm still
.io.
battling some guy that won't give up the .com. He's just got it parked. So until then, we're in that IO world.
Noah Oken-Berg is the founder and co-founder and CEO of Above the Fray, and you can find him at abovethefray.io.
Thanks, Brent.
Welcome to the show. It's Magento, New York. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Let's rock, feel the excitement, ready to explore. Oh yeah, all right, let's go. Yeah, meet Magento. Come on in, it's time to shine. Magento magic's feeling fine. Oh yeah, Magento and why? Oh yeah, that's right. Shop owners gather, the energy's bright. Oh yeah, that's right. Innovation's here, taking the flight. Oh yeah, all right, let's go. Yeah, meet Magento. Come on in, it's time to shine. Magento magic, feeling fine. Oh yeah, Magento and why? Oh yeah, that's right. Everyone's here, the vibe's just right. Meeting minds each day, each night. Come alive. Let's light the sky. Come on in, it's time to shine. Magento magic, feeling fine. Oh yeah, Magento and why? Oh yeah, that's right.
Talk Commerce is a production of Content Basis LLC. For more creative content, go to contentbasis.io.